You're listening to the Empowering Process podcast with your host, Gail Kraft. Listen as she holds frank discussions around how your purpose, being present, and trusting your power impacts your life. Whether you're an entrepreneur, leader, or developing your vision, you'll find wisdom and insights you can utilize right now. Welcome your host, Gail Kraft.
Hey everybody, it's Gail Kraft here with the Empowering Process podcast, and I have with me a dear friend, Tashina King. I almost said Beckman.
That was my maiden name.
Yes, I know, Tashina. So I've known her for a while, right? And we're going to talk with Tashina about her story. Right now, Tashina is doing coaching, and the business is called Empowered to the number 2 Greatness. And she's been doing this for a while. So Tashina has over 10 years of experience supporting and coaching women from all over the world. And I mean, she has traveled all over the world. She understands just how vital it is to look at the whole woman in particular when it comes to goals and desires that each one of you have. It's crucial to nurture and transform the foundation upon which those goals and desires are rooted so that these women are able to reach with ease, confidence, and joy. I love that, with ease. She is an internationally recognized top instructor, entrepreneur. Since 2008, my goodness, I've known you a while, has toured all over 13 countries as a coach and professional dancer while being married and having now a 2-year-old son. Through her tours and coaching practice, she has coached over 8,000 individuals throughout the world on self-worth, confidence, and taking ownership of their lives. Tashina, I'm so thrilled that you're here and you're willing to talk about your journey and how you got into this new adventure that you're about to embark on. So welcome, Tashina.
Thank you, Gail. I'm super excited to be here.
It's going to be fun. So we talked a little bit beforehand about wanting to share your first journey. And now we're going to be, and then sharing this current journey. So yes. When I first met Tashina, I mean, we were both, well, I was just entering the entrepreneurial world, and she directed me and said, you need to go to the Hair Hub, you need to do this, you need, right, to get going. And she was spot on. But at that time, she was a VA, a virtual assistant, and she was competing in dance, and that really was her desire. So talk to us a little about what it was like to walk away from a secure paycheck and go into this unknown world when you didn't even have a partner, knowing that you wanted to compete in the dance world.
Yeah, I'm going to actually back up just a little bit and let your viewers know that ever since I was 2.5, which is when I started dancing, I knew from a very, very young age that dancing is what I wanted to do professionally as a career. I didn't know in what capacity I wanted that to be, but that's where my heart was. And I could have really cared less about school. I just waited for, class bells to ring at the end of the day so I could just get to the dance studio and dance. And after high school, I graduated and joined a performing arts company in California. And that was the initial onset of my worldwide travel and teaching and instructing. And at that point, we were working with at-risk youth, taught in an all-male youth prison. We taught in low-income areas. And it was incredible. And so at that point, I really knew that I wanted part of my dance career to include travel and to work with people from all backgrounds and all religions, all cultures, all societies. Like, I wanted an all-inclusive dance experience, using dance as a way of connecting with people. So that's where I really started to hone in on what I wanted my dance career to look like. And after that, I left the performing arts company. I was kind of in a transitionary period of not really sure what I wanted my dance career to look like. And at that point, I moved back to Colorado and started partner dancing. And then I was like, okay, this is the type of dance career where it could have longevity to it. It seems to be welcoming of all types of people. So it checked that box. And I was like, I have to move to San Diego, California to pursue the specific style, which was West Coast swing. And it was a very poignant moment where I was driving with my dad. He helped me move out to San Diego, who my dad is also an entrepreneur and had a successful career as a financial planner. And I looked at him and I said, how did you do it? Like, how did you have your own business and have it be successful? And he said, well, Tashina, I never had a plan B. I was so committed to what I wanted to do, to where my passion was, that I didn't let myself have that easy out. Well, if this doesn't work, then I'll just do this. And so when I moved to San Diego, the reason I actually started as a VA was because I needed some form of income to support the training that I needed. So I was already in a place of kind of making it work. What can I do to craft the income to support my passion that'll allow me the time freedom, the flexibility that I need to go create my professional dance career. And so the VA thing actually wasn't even a secure paycheck. It was all on my own. I was cold calling dance studios, asking if I could support them in their business administrative side of things. So that already was like a place of, it wasn't stable necessarily, but I really remembered what my dad said is I have plan B. So the VA stuff wasn't really a plan B. It was just a means to an end to support my dancing. And I did that virtual assistant work with different clients for several years, to the point where I then started to travel more and increase my dance training. And there came a point in my professional dance career where you have to have a partner to then compete with and travel with the end result of getting hired to then go teach more. And I couldn't find a partner. And I couldn't even move past the beginning stages of the competitive realm within the style of West Coast swing. And it was really frustrating. And I had moved again my entire life back to California at this point. And I just kept hitting roadblocks after roadblock after roadblock. I was dumping tons of money and time into living completely on my own, not having a roommate, to investing in my dance training and practicing and travel time to events and hotels and food, competition fees, like all of it. And I couldn't even break past the beginning stages of the competitive realm. And I couldn't find a dance partner. And it was at that point that I kind of hit rock bottom. And I felt like, okay, well, I don't have a plan B, just like my dad said, and I'm not getting anywhere. I'm wasting my time, it feels like, and I was about to quit. And there was a moment where I had a conversation with, I'm just going to call it source, spirit, God, whatever it is for you. I said, listen, if I don't have a dance partner by the end of this year, I'm done. And I'm going to take it as a sign that it's time to move on.
Totally remember you telling me about this. Okay, go ahead.
So the way that spirit worked was like, okay, we'll give you a dance partner. And it was a dance partner that I needed to hang on until the right one was ready. So the dance partner that I had in the interim was someone who completely did not align with who I am as a person, didn't agree with my biracial dating boyfriend at the time, now my husband. So like I had to really be like, oh God, I really want this dancing career to happen, but he's so not in alignment with who I am as a person. And when you're in a dance partnership, you have to have things align. Like that's really
important. Almost a marriage.
It basically is a marriage without the physical
right.
Sexual intimacy. And so that partnership kept me going for a while. And then I finally just said, I can't continue to jeopardize who I am as a person to try to make this happen. And I'm going to have to let go of that partnership. I don't know what the next step is. I don't know if I'll find another partner. I don't know if my dance career is going to continue, but I can't compromise who I am anymore. So I let that partnership go. And literally, I think within 2 days, my dance partner, his name is PJ, turned up and showed up in my life. And from there, we like hit the ground running. So it was just in a loving way, a placeholder, that first partnership to keep me engaged with dancing to let me know that I could do it, I could create it, I could have it. And just the timing I needed to be more patient with.
So understand, folks, PJ had to quit a full-time job and leave a wife in Texas.
Tennessee.
Okay, and it was a TT to do this.
And 2 daughters, 2 teenage daughters.
And 2 teenage daughters, right? To come and practice, create routines, travel the country, and then travel the world in order to make this your career and his. I know. So then the two of you started. So tell me a little bit about that journey and how that the struggle at first, and then how it seemed like it was overnight, but I know it wasn't overnight, that the two of you just finally you broke through. And then the experience, I want you to have us taste the deliciousness of achieving your goal.
Okay. Again, I'm going to preface this with a little bit more backstory, because that's what leads into PJ and I. So when I was still without a partner, this interim partner, and before PJ, and I wasn't able to break through the first competitive realm, I again was at a rock bottom, and I didn't understand why I couldn't have success like everybody else. I was just as trained, if not more trained than people. All my coaches and mentors were like, yep, you've got everything you need to make it, but I don't know why you're not, placing and making it to finals and doing well. Everyone was at a loss. They really didn't understand. And so it was at that juncture that led me to discover the power of the subconscious mind. And what had happened when I left my original dance studio at about the age of 11 or 12 is my mentor at that point, for her own reasons, don't know what was going on in her life, but she was upset that I was leaving her studio. And she wagged her finger at me and she said, Tashina, you will never amount to anything as a dancer. And I had totally forgotten about that taking place, had never thought about it since. And my entire time in my performing arts company, I had a lot of challenges landing lead roles, having the opportunity to teach, be the main teacher. I had a lot of challenges there, and I felt like I was meeting those same challenges here in the West Coast swing world. And so I was at a loss, and thank God up above, whatever you want to call it again, my mom was doing clinical hypnotherapy at the time, as well as another modality to work with the subconscious and the beliefs that we hold at the core element of our essence. And she and I engaged in some conversation, and it was like an overwhelming wave of this memory of my teacher saying, you'll never amount to anything as a dancer. And I went, holy shit, right? Whoa, this belief, I didn't even realize that I had taken it in so deeply into my core that I was recreating the same reality for myself of not being able to amount to anything as a dancer.
Over and over again.
Over and over and over again. It didn't matter the scenario I was in. I couldn't amount to it. And it really boiled down to not thinking that I was good enough and that I deserved it. And it was okay to be successful as a dancer. And so it was really that moment of that realization where I began to powerfully and quickly work with my subconscious beliefs and the beliefs that I had about myself and my worth and my ability to create a life that I wanted. And once I started doing that work, and I went at it, it was all I did, eat, sleep, and breathe the subconscious mind work, that within about 2 months, without changing anything else, I started making finals and I started to progress as an individual in the dance community. And this was all overlying or happening at the same time as the partnership aspects that we were talking about. So by the time that I had PJ come into my life, I had already witnessed and experienced the amazing changes that can happen in a person's life firsthand from working with my subconscious beliefs. And so I went, I wonder if I could do some work around a partnership And even before PJ walked into my life, roughly around that same time that interim person came in, I went, I'm going to start to play with my beliefs that as a partnership, we do really well without even having that actual partnership manifested yet. And so by the time PJ came into the picture, I had done a lot of work for myself about my beliefs of being in a partnership, having a successful, what we call dance marriage, and getting hired, being requested, and being effective teachers and instructors and performing and competing well. And so by the time PJ came into the picture, for me, it's like I already had my gears turning in a way that was empowering and setting us up as much as possible in the way that I have, ability to influence things, to hit the ground running. And very quickly after he and I started partnering, we did everything that I had worked on at that subconscious level. We started to get hired very quickly internationally. Our first hiring was international. We had 2 international gigs back to back as our first jobs. We practiced, and we just became a very highly requested couple to be at events with some of the top tier instructors as well in the West Coast Swing community. And as each person does, we come together in relationship and we help each other grow. And there were lots of speed bumps along the way for PJ and I, lots of opportunities for him to reflect back to me pieces of myself that I had not worked with. And I reflected pieces to him that he needed to work on. And it was a really beautiful relationship where we helped each other grow in so many ways. But what was so helpful was the constant ability to work at that subconscious level about the pieces of myself that I could heal, that I could transform, and I could overcome. And it made it that much easier. There was still work to be done that, did
always
occur.
Work. There's always work.
It was super helpful to have that tool set to apply, because otherwise, I think we would have had a lot more challenge than we did.
So this is where, so you had started your coaching business while you were also competing. You and I did a little bit of work together. And since then, I've gone very much down the line that you're down, with the training that I have gone through and the approach that I use as well. The subconscious mind, I call it mindset, is so powerful, and it's the whisper you don't even hear. It's the voice that you don't even acknowledge is constantly nipping at you. And when you see it, you recognize it, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, because it's a friend, because it's been there for a long time, right? So then you got married to your amazing husband. By the way, he's a fantastic dancer as well. And you now have a little child. And so you were still competing after you got married. You were still competing while you were pregnant. You were still competing after you gave birth. There was no thought really of making a change. And then there was the thought. So I think you were probably considering it, but not seriously. So what happened?
Yeah, throughout the time where PJ and I were really traveling full time, and by full time, I mean, we were gone 3 to 4 times a month on the weekends when our significant others, husband and wives, were off work. So we were doing that, and I continuously just was loving the ability to use dance as a way of connecting with people and the deeper elements about themselves that showed up in dancing, their own insecurities, their own challenges with self-worth, confidence, and things like that. And so because I had on this side, and again, it wasn't my plan B, it was another passion that I really started to develop, was working with people in the same ways that I had worked with myself. I started to blend that into my dance coaching and doing this work with people within a setting of a dance private lesson. And it was so beautiful to watch my 2 worlds more or less start to merge and interlace with one another. And after my son was born, I knew I couldn't travel 3 to 4 weekends a month. That wasn't the type of lifestyle I wanted to have as a mom. It wasn't conducive to fostering a super strong marriage. And I just knew things were going to have to change, and I wasn't sure how they were going to change. I knew I was falling in love with blending my two worlds together. And I wasn't working just with dancers. I still had some clients outside of the dance capacity. And then, let's see, my son was born in April of 2019, and everything shut down March of 2020. So it was about a year when my son was that first 12 months where I was like, gosh, what am I going to do? I really don't want to give up on my dancing. It's been a lifelong dream. I don't want to give up on this dream. I've worked really hard for it, but I can't do it anymore in the capacity. And then COVID hit. COVID showed up.
And nobody was dancing.
And even then still, I was still gripping really, really tight to the dancing. And I'd thought about several times about transitioning full-time into this mindset and confidence coach realm. And I did some other online stuff with dance, and I wasn't feeling fulfilled. My heart wasn't singing. My joy-o-meter, as I call it, the internal joy level wasn't there with the online dance capacity. We still don't know when dance is going to return to the type of world it was. And so finally, December of last year, 2020, I decided to officially make a decision to start working with a business coach to help me really find a way to blend this mindset coaching with dancers in a very specific form. And so that has been amazing. I've been doing lots of work with different dancers all across the world on their confidence, self-worth, how they're able to connect with people, how they view their bodies, view their creativity, express and foster and nurture their creativity. And that's been really fulfilling. Excuse me. And then I was like, I want more. Like, I don't want to just work with dancers. There's so many women and other individuals in the world that it's the same thing. Like, so many people within the world struggle with the same things. And I really want to branch outside of just dancers. Right. And so I made that official decision, I don't know, several months ago now, where I was willing, and I had to grieve it for a while. I had to grieve changing how I access my dance dream. So I kind of explain it like I've left the door cracked. I still want to go compete and do routines. I still want to teach. I'm still teaching currently private lessons and workshops and things like that. But it took me a while to make the solid decision that I'm going to leave dancing as I knew it and create and craft my coaching practice in a way that I'm feeling really fulfilled by. And so that was really a huge turning point for me several months ago, where I chose which fork in the road I was going to go.
And honestly, you made the choice that I love. It's not either or. It's like, do I coach or do I dance? Mm-hmm. No, it's not or. How do I coach and dance?
Yeah.
Right. How do I blend my passion? Because this passion was something that you did not expect. This was something new. It's not something you've had since you were 2, right?
Right.
And so that's what life's journey is all about, right? It's you get more information, and the road that you're on, although it's fun, may not be the road that you stay on. I have a coach that I work with, and he says, it's, what season are you in? Mm-hmm. You change your seasons, and that's okay, right? And he has me stop every 3 to 6 months and look back. Do you still want to keep doing this? Mm-hmm. It's okay for you to say no, right? And giving yourself permission to do that is amazing, right? So you absolutely manifested PJ, right? You absolutely did.
I think right? So. And I think he manifested me too. Like, we were both on our own ways, doing our own work to call each other into our experiences.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And again, it was the right season for the both of you. You met at the right time for the both of you. You were able to leverage each other's talents and abilities together. It was just amazing. But I'm excited about you taking that process into this new world of yours. And that's the key, right? Is that, you've done it before. You did it in a community that basically was blocking you. You weren't getting the recognition that you worked so hard for, right? And you were ready to give up, and you thought, no, no, no. And guys, that's the key. Don't give up on your dream. If you really have that, and I call it juice and deliciousness, if you have that taste in your mouth, keep chewing, just keep chewing.
I think the big thing for me was staying open and curious to what else was contributing to the challenge that I could change.
Right.
And it took a while for me to find that. And that was the subconscious work change. But I think what happens is, and I was there for sure, is I was getting frustrated and I just kept shutting myself down, and I kept shutting out possibility and potential. And I think a really important thing to consider is, how can I stay open? How can I stay curious? Can you keep asking questions? If you keep asking questions, you'll stay in that open mindset, and you'll eventually find the answer to the question that unlocks that door, more or less.
Right. And for me, it's how do you frame that question? Right. So the question is, why can't I do this? That's not the question. The question is what is it that I need to do differently to get where I want to go? Mm-hmm. What avenue do I need to take that is a different avenue that I don't see right now? Right. It's open-ended questions that are positive, that bring you forward. And most of us, because we were raised with a failure mindset, right? Look at things from, well, I'm just not good enough, right? Mm-hmm. Or I just don't fit in, or, and you, I mean, when I met you, when you weren't even taking those private lessons, right, to get to that next level, was already there. So Tashina was one of the co-trainers of a group dance that I was in. And I have to tell you, this is hilarious. At the end of our performing and whatever, we sent a survey around. There were 3 instructors for feedback, so that the next time there would be improvement, right, in the way that the training was done and the dance style and whatever. And someone had put down, Tashina was the only adult in the room. And Tashina at that time was the youngest.
Yeah, I think it was like 21.
Oh my God, you were the baby in the room. And the only female. The other 2 were male instructors, right? And the 2 men would, have their little tantrum, right, and go off in their thing. And you'd be like, okay, so let's run through such and such. And just kind of keep us going. So I think you always had the maturity, the mindset that, okay, well, let's just keep going. Well, let's just keep going. Well, let's just keep going, right? Because that's what that was all about. Whatever's going on over there, whatever that noise is, has nothing to do with me or you. So let's just keep going, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's what you were talking about when you're talking about uncovering what was holding you back, right? You knew that there was something, and when you discovered it, you're like, well, okay, there you are. Now I can let you go, and I can just keep going. Mm-hmm. Right? Oh, it sounds so easy, doesn't it?
Well, that's the thing. Once you do know what it is actually very easy to change subconscious beliefs. The belief that change is hard, the belief that change takes a long time, is that it's a belief system that we have bought into. And I mean, what happens is, up until about the age of 7, there's even studies that while we're in utero, our brain level is at a state where we're really just absorbing whatever it is that we're seeing modeled to us. We're absorbing what we're hearing being spoken about. And what happens is all of this information is absorbed like a huge sponge. And those things that we see modeled are imprints that form the beliefs that we then live by. And then by about the age of 7 is where discernment and judgment starts to click in. But at that point, we're not even sometimes aware of what we have imprinted onto our subconscious that we're living our life from. And then as we get older and we go into adulthood and we have the same challenges over and over, regardless of the relationship, regardless of the job, regardless of the friendship, and we see the same things over and over again, maybe the challenge just gets harder. We have to be able to take a moment and say, what is it within me that's creating this? And one of the things my mom said a while ago, which is really, man, just lasted, when something's not going right in life, she's like, well, what about you within you caused or created or manifested this reality? Because our reality is really a reflection of the internal beliefs that we have and hold.
Exactly.
And so if you can take that pill and swallow it, sometimes it's a big one to swallow and it gets a little stuck right there. But when you're able to step back and really go, my reality is simply a reflection of what I'm living internally. So what do I want to change? And then as soon as you identify what you want to change, then actually implementing the change at a subconscious level, the change process is actually very quick. It doesn't take a long time.
Right, because it's from within.
Yeah.
Right. I look at it as if you're feeling any resistance at all in your life, right, then something that you're doing is not congruent with your core values, right, with the core of who you are. And so if you're feeling resistance, what is it that you're doing? What are you doing that is creating that? Yeah. I mean, you and I are like just so on the same page. It's ridiculous. Yes. I actually had a potential client, and he and I will coach. He just needs to think about things for a little bit, that actually sent me an email and said, I'm too afraid. I'm too afraid. Right. And it broke my heart because he looked for a coach. We talked about it. And then when the reality, he's ready to agree to, let's do this, I'm too afraid. And the thing is, this is not going to shrink. This is not uncovering. It is uncovering wounds from the past, like you were talking about, but not in the way that a psychiatrist does it. Yeah. Not in a painful way. It's a release, right? It's taking the pain away. And the way that you do it, which is very similar to what I do as well, is so beautiful.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love about this work, is that it's a lot of the times fun and playful. And yeah, there might be moments where there's, some big emotions that show up, but it's done in a lighthearted approach to where we don't have to relive the past. We don't have to relive the trauma. It's really about cutting the cord subconsciously to the stressful situation that occurred, or to the trauma, or to the belief that has happened. And that cutting of that stress cord doesn't have to be painful. And just talking about, mentioning what you had a second ago, is when that client isn't ready because he's too afraid, I find a really poignant question to ask myself and other people is, what is it costing you to keep living this way? And are you willing to keep giving that cost?
Right. Which is not a question I want to do over an email, though I have reached out to him. Yeah. See if he's willing to have another conversation. Right. Because it's not about the sale. It really is not about the sale. It's about, what can I do to help you? My whole purpose, as is yours, right, is to release the pain, right? We're here. Yes, we're here for experience, but we're here for joy. I mean, we're here to have fun. I feel like we are children in a playground, right? And we can either fight or we can get on the swing and have a blast.
Oh, I love that analogy. Absolutely.
Right? Oh, go ahead, take it. You can use it. And so I want us all to be on the swing, right? Or on the merry-go-round or whatever, right? And enjoy each other and giggle and laugh and just, life is delicious. That is my word, by the way. I'll tell you after this is recording what that is all about. Life is delicious, and we are intended to taste every morsel of it, right? And yes, sometimes we'll get a sour apple, right? But it doesn't mean we have to keep grabbing from that tree. Right. It's like, okay, that one's sour. That. Now go to the next tree. That one's probably a delicious apple.
But even in the sour apple moments, there's amazing lessons to be learned. And what I think is so important is to be able to ask, what was the lesson here for me? How can I grow from this experience? How can I be more of my true self, even though this experience was a little sour or super sour?
Mm-hmm.
How do I take it and use it to my benefit?
Right. Transform it, right? Transform it and transmute it into something that you can use, right? Rather than it use you, right?
Right. Well, and I think it brings up a super important point that I feel a lot of our culture and society reinstates the victimhood mentality and being a victim of something, or people do something to me, people make me feel this. When in reality, once you step into the place of, I created this, I chose to feel this, you no longer are a victim of your surroundings and your life. You become a co-creator in your life. And that is a very empowering place to be.
It is. Life just changes. I can't explain it. It is just changes. It absolutely shifts for everybody. So Tashina, thank you for sharing your remarkable story. You're a remarkable woman. I'm going to be following you and watching you grow and watching you help people. So how can this audience get in touch with you?
Yeah, I'm on social media. I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. I know you're going to provide those links.
I am going to provide the links at the end. Absolutely.
Yeah, my website is Empowered to Greatness. Again, for the website, it's the number 2. And I offer anyone here that's listening into the podcast, if you're interested in getting a feel for my work and my approach to things, I have a free gift I'd love to extend to you, which is Break the Perfectionist Mindset Kit. It has a workbook and a short training video to help get you started on working through any perfectionist habits, tendencies, mindset that is there to get the ball rolling on that.
That link will definitely be, in my description as well. So thank you, everybody. And folks, if any of this resonates with you, definitely reach out to Tashina, or if you know somebody who might be able to benefit from this, absolutely share this out. Don't hold it to yourself. This is an amazing gift, and she's an amazing woman. Thank you so much, Tashina. Take care.
Thanks, Gail.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Empowering Process podcast. Be sure to visit Gail at gailcraft.com to learn more about how she serves thought leaders, entrepreneurs, and goal seekers. And remember, if you like this broadcast, be sure to share and subscribe so you don't miss an episode.